Something unexpected happened during the interview, and for a few seconds, the entire studio went quiet. Hugh Jackman was smiling, but the tension at the table was impossible to ignore. Quick heads up, subscribe to Backstory Uncovered, because what starts as a normal conversation here is about to take a turn no one expected. The audience had been clapping loudly as Hugh Jackman walked onto the stage. He greeted Whoopi Goldberg with a warm handshake, flashing the easygoing smile people have come to expect from him. "Good to see you again," Whoopi said, settling into her chair. "Always a pleasure," Hugh replied, sitting down across from her. The conversation started light. They joked about his latest project, his years playing Wolverine, and the energy he still brings to every role. The audience laughed when Hugh joked, "My knees remind me I'm not 20 anymore." Whoopi chuckled at that. But then her tone shifted slightly. "Well, Hugh," she said, leaning forward a bit, "you've always had this reputation as the nicest guy in Hollywood." Hugh laughed lightly. "I try. But some people," Whoopi continued, "think that reputation can sometimes feel a little too perfect." A few murmurs moved through the audience. Hugh raised his eyebrows with a half-smile. "Too perfect?" Whoopi nodded. "Yeah. Like maybe it's easier for some actors to stay likable because they avoid speaking up about difficult issues." The room grew noticeably quieter. Hugh paused for a moment, still smiling, but thinking carefully. "You mean staying neutral?" he asked. "Sometimes," Whoopi replied. "When big conversations are happening, people wonder where certain voices are." A small ripple of reactions moved through the crowd. Hugh leaned back slightly in his chair, nodding slowly. "That's fair," he said calmly. Then he added, "But can I ask something back?" Whoopi gestured with her hand. "Go ahead." Hugh looked around briefly at the audience before returning his focus to her. "Do you think being calm or respectful automatically means someone isn't speaking up?" The question hung in the air. Whoopi tilted her head slightly. "Not necessarily. But it can look that way sometimes," she added. Hugh nodded again. "I understand that," he said. There was a brief pause. Then he continued, his voice still relaxed but more thoughtful now. "You know, I've always believed that the way you speak up matters just as much as what you say." A few audience members clapped quietly. Whoopi crossed her arms lightly. "So you're saying confrontation isn't always the answer?" Hugh smiled slightly. "I'm saying sometimes people expect a fight, when what actually helps is a conversation." The audience reacted with a louder murmur. Whoopi looked at him for a second, clearly weighing his response. "But conversation only works," she said slowly, "if people are willing to be honest." Hugh nodded immediately. "Oh, I'm very willing to be honest." The room went still again. Because the calm way he said it made it clear the discussion wasn't over yet. For a second, neither of them spoke. The audience could feel the tension sitting right there between the two chairs. Whoopi leaned forward slightly, resting her hands on the table. "Well," she said carefully, "then let's be honest." A few people in the audience chuckled nervously. Hugh Jackman smiled politely, but his posture straightened a little. Whoopi continued. "Sometimes celebrities say they want conversation, but what they really mean is avoiding criticism." A quiet murmur moved through the crowd. Hugh nodded slowly, like he expected the point. "That can happen," he admitted. Then he paused for a moment before adding, "But criticism can also turn into something else." Whoopi raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Hugh looked at her calmly. "Assumption." That word hung in the air for a second. The audience reacted with a soft "oh." Whoopi didn't immediately respond. Hugh continued, still speaking in the same measured tone. "People see someone smiling, being polite, trying to keep the room respectful, and they assume that person must be avoiding tough conversations." He gave a small shrug. "But the truth is, some of us just learned a long time ago that yelling doesn't solve much." A few audience members started clapping. Whoopi held up a hand slightly. "No one said anything about yelling." Hugh smiled gently. "True." He leaned forward a little now, clearly more engaged. "But television can make disagreements feel bigger than they really are." The room grew quiet again. "Sometimes," he continued, "people come here expecting sparks. They expect a headline, a clash, a viral moment. A couple of audience members laughed quietly, knowing exactly what he meant. Hugh glanced around the studio. But imagine if instead of trying to win the moment, we tried to understand it. The audience suddenly broke into louder applause. Whoopi blinked, clearly surprised by how strongly the crowd reacted. Hugh raised his hand slightly, almost calming them down. "I'm not saying we avoid tough topics," he said. "I'm saying the goal shouldn't be tension." He looked back at Whoopi. "It should be progress." The studio erupted into applause again, much louder this time. For a brief second, even Whoopi smiled. "Well," she said after the clapping settled, "that's a very Hugh Jackman way to handle it." The crowd laughed. Hugh chuckled too. "I'll take that as a compliment." Whoopi nodded slowly. "You didn't exactly give us the showdown people expected." Hugh shrugged playfully. "Sorry to disappoint the drama fans." More laughter rolled through the audience, and the tension that had been building all segment finally seemed to break. The conversation shifted after that, but that moment stuck with everyone in the room. Because instead of escalating the tension, Hugh Jackman had completely changed the tone of it. "Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Hugh Jackman handled that moment the right way, or should he have pushed back harder?" Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Backstory Uncovered for more surprising talk show moments you didn't see coming.